I very recently returned from travel abroad, travel overseas, and I was traveling for family primarily. We had a wedding for one of my cousins in Germany, and then I took the opportunity to take my children to visit Turkey, one of my favorite places. I've been wanting to take them abroad and overseas for quite some time to begin to experience what life is like in other cultures, in other places, in other parts of the world, because when we live in one particular area, we tend to have a very insulated experience and perspective on the world and on reality, especially in the United States, for example, which is so far removed from the rest of the world. So I took the opportunity to take my children to go and visit Turkey and also to begin to, so that they can begin to experience a bit of what life might be like in a Muslim country, where one hears the adhan 5 times a day, where there's an abundance of masajid, of mosques to worship and to pray, and where they don't have to feel like they're aliens because they have a different background or identity than the majority of the population in the country in which they live or in which they are. So I wanted to make a short video just to share about the importance of travel, the virtues of travel, because travel is actually vital to health. Vital not just to our physical health if travel is done well and properly, but especially to our psychological and our spiritual health. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, and upon his family and companions, and upon all the prophets and messengers of God. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says, as is recorded in Bihar al-Anwar, travel for it will make you healthy and wealthy. Travel for it will make you healthy and wealthy. Now this is interesting because we tend to think of travel as an expense, as something that actually detracts from our wealth. But the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying travel because it will make you both healthy and wealthy. Very briefly, for those of you who may be new to my channel and to my content, my name is Ihsan. I am a faith-based life coach whose primary focus is on integrating a balanced approach to life, a balanced approach that incorporates faith, religion, and spirituality into the practical dimensions of our lives. As Allah Almighty says in the Quran, surely we have not created all of this for nothing. And so I believe that there is divine purpose in the life that we have been given, and that the key to living it well is faith and spirituality. And so in the content that I produce and in the clients that I work with and the courses that I create, the goal is to live well here so as to secure the greatest chance for success, not just in this world, but in the world beyond as well, in the domain of eternity. Because this world is temporary. We're here for a very short time, and eternity is approaching. The Holy Prophet of Allah ﷺ used to make dua, used to make supplication and pray to Allah, "Oh God, grant us good in this life and in the next." And so this is, of course, the approach that my teachers and my shuyukh have advocated and encouraged, a balanced lifestyle, a lifestyle that honors both this world and the next. And it's towards this goal that my work and my content is focused, to help to answer the question, how are we to live, both for the sake of this life and the next? Allah Almighty says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ankabut, say, travel through the earth and see how He originated creation. Travel through the earth and see how Allah originated the creation, how Allah created this world. This is actually an order from Allah in the Quran, telling the Messenger of God to say, to advise people to travel throughout the earth, to travel throughout the world, and witness and observe and learn. And this, of course, is how our travel and our movement through the world can be acts of faith, acts of worship, when we travel with the intention of learning and of observing and of deepening our faith, of increasing in faith, in wisdom, and in knowledge. Now, often people would love to travel, and typically, for reasons other than faith, they want to travel to enjoy, to have a good time, to go on holiday, to vacation, to go to a beautiful place, which is okay, but even more powerful and valuable when that even is coupled with the intention to do so for the sake of Allah, to do so for the sake of God, for the sake of the Messenger, and for the sake of the way, for the sake of growth and of learning and of moving closer to truth, for the sake of increasing in wisdom and in understanding. Even travel that is going to beautiful places just to enjoy Allah's creation, just to enjoy the beauty of Allah's creation or to witness it, when coupled with faith, becomes an act of worship. So most people would often love to travel, but there are many impediments to travel. And perhaps the most significant impediment to travel is finances or sustenance, rizq in Arabic, or perhaps to be more specific, fear of insufficient resources, fear of insufficient sustenance and provision to travel or to be able to travel throughout the world. Now, this is, of course, a very real concern. It's a very real practical circumstance that we have to learn to deal with. But it's important to recognize the fear that originates this impediment. And also to keep in mind that all growth takes place outside of our comfort zones, outside of the domain in which we are comfortable, in which we are complacent. So oftentimes, by putting ourselves in a position that requires greater faith and greater stretching, we can advance to a new level in our lives. We can advance to a new plateau, a new stage, a new reality, a new level of possibility that elevates our life experience. And so one of the things that we must, as human beings and as believers primarily, overcome is scarcity thinking, scarcity mindsets, scarcity paradigms, poverty consciousness. Allah Almighty, our Lord and Creator, says in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Satan threatens you or promises you poverty. That the threat of Satan, the threat of Iblis, is poverty. And therefore that due to the fear of poverty, we end up committing acts that are falling short of a faithful life. And so faith requires of us an abundance and prosperity-based paradigm. Faith actually requires of us a prosperity-based or an abundance-based consciousness. And this is directly a result of Allah Almighty's reality, how He has revealed Himself as generous, loving, kind, the one who provides, the one who secures, the one who protects. If we truly believe in Allah as He has revealed Himself, we would have no fear. And so much of the faith and spiritual-based path is about making faith real in the heart. We can have beliefs about certain things. We can believe things in our minds. But real faith is when it takes root in the heart and becomes our state, a state of fearlessness. And so the best of provisions, as Allah Almighty says in the Holy Quran, is faith or God consciousness, taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah as well, and take provision for the journey. Yet the best of provisions is taqwa, which is God consciousness, mindfulness of God, faith and fear in God. So be mindful of me, O man of understanding. So Allah Almighty is saying the best of provisions. We fear for our provision. We wonder if we'll have enough. Allah is saying the best of provisions is faith and trust and reliance on the Creator. And He goes on to say, Allah Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala, glory and exalted be He, and whosoever relies on God, he will find Him sufficient. This is in Surah At-Talaq. And whosoever relies on God, he will find Him sufficient. That true trust and reliance and faith on God, and this is something we have to develop incrementally. We can't take leaps beyond our capacity. We have to develop faith, trust, and reliance incrementally. That's the best approach. And that is how we progress and advance in our faith and in our understanding. We have to remember, brothers and sisters, that one can come into faith, one can come into the religion by simply stating belief. I believe in Allah, I believe in God, the one who has revealed prophets throughout human history, and that the Prophet Muhammad is His last and final messenger. That's it. That's all it takes to enter into Islam. But to reach the levels of iman is a lifelong journey, because iman can be perpetually developed, can perpetually be deepened and strengthened. Iman has levels. There are endless grades to the level of our faith. And that's why the great messenger of God, Jesus alayhi salam, is recorded as having said in the Gospels that if you truly have faith, if you have real faith, you can say to a mountain, move, and it will move. What a profound statement, that if we truly have faith, we can move any obstacle from our path. So belief is the key, but belief is something that we perpetually develop and deepen. And again, this takes place outside of our comfort zones. We've got to put ourselves in situations that require us to stretch, to grow, to deepen our faith. So going back to the topic of travel, with the right intention, travel becomes an act of worship. Moving through the earth, witnessing, is not just something that we do just for enjoyment, but actually to deepen our faith, to strengthen our faith, to learn, to grow, and to develop, to advance upon the spiritual path. Now, of course, travel is not easy. There are many challenges, there are many obstacles, there are many things that we must learn to overcome or deal with while traveling. We'll often find ourselves in challenging circumstances, in homes that are not our own or places to stay that are not our own. We may lack the normal level of comfort and convenience that we're used to. There may be challenges when it comes to communication and dealing with different cultures. And again, of course, there are expenses and financial challenges that must be dealt with and overcome. But again, all growth takes place outside of our comfort zones. So part of the path and way of growth is to put yourself in challenging situations, not just for the sake of challenging situations necessarily, but in situations that are valuable and meaningful, that do require us to grow, to expand, to stretch, to learn, to advance, to develop, to evolve. And so the point that I'm making with regards to this is that comfort and complacency are the bane of progress. When we allow ourselves to remain in situations that do not change, we are not going to progress, or progress will be very, very limited. Now, regarding this, in the book Dune, which I've talked about several times in some of my videos and content, the novel written by Frank Herbert, recently made into major motion pictures, again, for the numbered time. In the story, Duke Leto Atreides is trying to teach his son a lesson, and he says that change is necessary for something within us that is sleeping to awaken. That is human potential that he's pointing to. That's the spirit. That change is necessary in order for the sleeper, and I would say that as a reference to the spirit, the potential within the human being to awaken. The quote is, he's saying to his son, "I'll miss the sea, but a person needs new experiences. They jar something deep inside, allowing him to grow. Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom awakens. The sleeper must awaken." And that's, of course, Duke Leto Atreides speaking to his son, Paul, who ends up traveling to Arrakis, the most challenging and difficult, the most inhospitable planet in the known universe. That's where they're headed. That's where they're destined. And he's trying to impart to his son the importance of this lesson, that change, the hardships and the difficulties that journey will require will serve a purpose, to awaken the soul, to awaken the spirit within. One of the things that I continue to emphasize in my work is that the purpose of life is awakening, the awakening of our spirit, the awakening to purpose. And if we are not actively seeking to awaken, we will remain unconscious. We will remain asleep. And again, we cannot awaken in comfort. When we are perpetually comfortable, we become complacent, and awakening becomes stifled. And this, of course, is the way of the Holy Prophet. He refused extreme comfort. He refused comfort in general. He was an ascetic. And this is something that we have to learn to rediscover and reclaim, the path of asceticism, the path of discipline, especially in the world today, where we are constantly being inundated with comfort and with convenience. The more that we make things comfortable, the more our potential dies. The more we take advantage of convenience, the less we rely on our God-given capacities and potential, and they begin to wither and die. And so upon the path of faith and awakening, travel becomes vital, becomes valuable, becomes necessary. And travel begins, any journey begins with an intention. In Islam, intention is extremely valuable. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that every action is based upon the intention. And he specifically said that when you make a journey, you will receive what you have intended. But first and foremost, we must make the intention to travel. Even if we don't have the capacity, the means, the time, make the intention. We can make the intention to travel and to do so for the sake of truth, for the sake of God, for the sake of the way, the messenger, for the sake of our own growth, understanding, development, and evolution. And once we make an intention, all we've got to do is begin taking a single step towards that goal. And it is God, Allah Almighty, that then makes that journey possible. And this is, of course, walking in faith. We can't see the entire path. We can't see how it's going to manifest or be possible for us, but we can begin taking steps towards. And the path becomes revealed as you walk. The way begins to open as you begin to take one step after another. Simply take the first step. Take any step. As we move towards our goals begin moving towards us. Because moving towards your goal is an act of faith, is an act of belief. And ultimately, it is faith and belief that makes everything possible. It's faith and belief that attracts towards us. And action is the most powerful manifestation of faith and belief. And this principle can be applied to anything in life, any goal, anything we are seeking. We simply have to begin moving towards it, and it begins moving towards us. When we begin actively seeking what we want, what we require, what we need, doors begin to open. We begin to attract the very thing that we are seeking. And this is one of the statements of the great Jalaluddin Rumi, Jalaluddin Balkhi, Qaddasallahu, may Allah Almighty sanctify his holy secret. Rumi, who said, what you seek is seeking you. So move towards it. Now I'm adding, move towards it and it will move towards you. And so to summarize, just a brief reminder and perhaps an admonition, an encouragement to travel and to do so for the sake of growth, for the sake of learning, for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of God, for every step taken with this intention becomes blessed, becomes an act of worship, becomes something that we begin to benefit from, not just in this world. These aren't just experiences that benefit us and make our lives richer, but actually become beneficial for our akhirah, for eternity, for the world hereafter, for our life in the world beyond. I hope that you guys enjoy and benefit from this short video, from this brief piece of content. And if you are new here, new to this channel and new to my content, please do me a favor and give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so that when new content is uploaded, you'll be notified. And please share this with others. Share this with friends and family who you think may benefit. And also, if you have not yet done so, please visit my website, borderpoint.com. You can get access to my newsletter absolutely for free, which includes a mini course in rediscovering faith and purpose in our lives, and learning how to integrate our faith and spirituality into our practical lives, into the practical dimension of our lives, that we may become balanced, whole, and complete human beings. May the doors of goodness open for you. May Allah Almighty bless you and your loved ones, your homes, and your communities. May He Almighty provide us all with the trust, the reliance, and the awareness, the connection to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to His mighty presence that will sustain us. May He forgive us our shortcomings and our sins, and grant us the wisdom and the power and the light and the attraction, the love to become better and to do better. May He Almighty make goodness easy for us and carry us towards our best possible destinies with His mighty will, power, and support. Allahumma ameen, to your divine and eternal success.